Face reality, people. Movies are dead. Games are dead. Narrative? Dead.
Media is nothing but neural trigger response and viral conditioning.
Wait, what are you two talking about?
Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I fucked up with an edit, so I'm just gonna re-upload this thing and make the other video private. So if you had comments in there, I'm so sorry. I apologize. But here's a newer version with some added stuff to it. Enjoy it. Okay. So I caught on to the we are done with the 90s thing and MJ has no left hand thing. And honestly, like, I don't know, I viewed it as a troll. But if this isn't a troll, this is probably one of the dumbest ideas I've ever heard, like ever. Especially like, and for me, you don't have to be a basketball expert, right? I'm not a basketball expert. I'm not a basketball historian. I can't name you the roster of the Kentucky Blue Cats in 1946, like the first NBA team ever. I can't fucking name those guys, right? But when it comes to athletics and people moving and kinetic energy and biomechanics and shit like that, I'm probably better than the average, person. Like, just from playing the sports, just from moving around, just from being able to, in my personal life, like being able to jump really high or throw a ball really hard or, shoot a basketball or whatever, right? Just understanding, like, what skill looks like in any sport. You can see these things. And there's like I think something gets missed by the quote-unquote non-athlete or the athletic normie, right? To where they don't realize what Floyd Mayweather's doing when he does a pullback right hand, right? Or if he does like a lead right hand and how he's setting his opponent up and he's fucking like a snake, like recognizing the moment to go. Maybe he'll touch you to the body with his jab, right? Just to find out if you're in range, and then he'll throw a right hand over the top and be accurate with it because he uses his core fundamentals. And that's kind of what we're going to go on here with MJ, right? Once again, I'm not a basketball expert, but if you understand people moving around to where shiftiness, quickness, intelligence of foot plants, intelligence of body movement can throw defenders off of you, then it's like you need to understand that in order to look at how good or bad Michael Jordan was at being able to handle basketball or being able to be shifty and confuse a defense.
A lot of people complain about kind of the shuffles that a lot of NBA players do, but MJ was doing this back in the 90s. You can see right here, use that inside out and shuffle to space to really create separation. So now that we've seen a couple of them, I'm going to rewind back the tape and take you guys through the bump off, which is basically like an inside out shuffle. So right here, he comes off the pick and you'll see that, he's faking kind of a snake. He's faking that he's going to split through, but really what he's doing is he's using an inside out, and then he's going to use that kind of inside out jab foot to push off, and then he's going to shuffle. So he's going to take 1 foot and then again 2, 3. So it's not a travel because it's all about after you pick up the ball, you get 2 steps. You notice the ball's hanging in just his left hand. He takes his steps, then he gets on balance, and then knocks down the J. But I mean, he's going from the mid post all the way to the elbow.
Right? It isn't strictly like he's just going right. Like, imagine that if that's the the overall narrative and outcome you come up with when observing Michael Jordan's highlights or whatever. Like, he just goes right. That's it. Which is why I have to assume it's a troll, but I'm going to take it serious for the sake of, maybe some, I guess, kind of education on athletic movement and how, I guess, special Michael Jordan actually was, regardless of the time period he played in. His moves would work today. I'm very, very sure of that. In fact, you can take a guy, like I'm going to show a clip of Kyrie crossing up Steph Curry, and a lot of the movements he's doing are things MJ was doing, and it wasn't by accident.
Is to attack the defense based on his stance. If I'm attacking, I'm going to use a jab step. And a jab step is a quick step to get the defense to react. And if the defense does not react, then you have a lot of other options that you can go about that. So jab step with your right foot, defense does not react, you go past him, putting the ball here so that the defense cannot get to it.
Again, right here, you know, the defender's thinking maybe he's waiting for a ball screen, maybe he's going to sink down into a low post move, and then he spins off, gets downhill, and then finishes at the rim.
Is to attack the defense based on his stance. If I'm attacking, I'm going to use a jab step. And a jab step is a quick step to get the defense to react.
Ball screen, maybe he's going to sink down into a low post move, and then he spins off, gets downhill, and then finishes at the rim.
It's not by accident by Kyrie, and it's not by accident from MJ. These are consciously made decisions. I'm going to shift this way. I'm going to step back here. I'm going to cross here. I'm going to go left here. I'm going to go right here. Like, these are worked on over and over and over and over again to where they master these things and they can repeat them in games and then, in fact, use them like kind of off script, right? If he sees a defender move one way, I can shift the other way.
Now, he also had counter moves. Again, always was able to counter everything. Same foot stop right here. Didn't create enough separation to get on balance to knock down the J. So he used a crossover to get to a better spot where he could knock down the J. So again, he was just so elite because he was so hard to guard because you never knew what was coming. You never knew if he was going to spin or half spin. You never knew if he was going to same foot stop or same foot stop into a crossover. You never knew if he was going to go into a step back or a cross step. You notice that every move has a counter move, and he has the ability to shoot or shot fake off of every move and counter.
Right, very simple. But first, let's hear some of this. This guy, I don't think he really buys into it. I think he's just having fun with it. Right? He's not like, oh, MJ sucks. Like, I don't think he's like that. I think he's just covering it and having fun with it. So I'm like, oh, cool. But he will play some of the videos that maybe do take it seriously. I don't know, but let's play it. Here we go.
We are done with the 90s, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if y'all been keeping up with what's been going on TikTok, but pressure is being applied. I tweeted this out an hour ago. MJ gotta come out and defend himself, bro. Pressure is being applied like crazy right now. B-stars are.
I assume he's joking. I assume he's joking when he said, "You gotta come out and defend yourself." The guy has cooked so many people in 1v1. Like, whatever. Here we go.
And for those who don't know what's going on, I don't necessarily know what prompted this. In March 7th of 2024, of a really good NBA season, to be honest with you. But, you know, the GOAT conversation is something that'll never end. The GOAT conversation is something that's going to keep on going until the end of time.
Just gonna let him, like, say his piece, you know?
And it's because of this channel right here, or this page. Yo Reaction, okay? He has a couple pinned TikToks over here, right? And he's been going on this series that I would just like to call, we done with the 80s, we done with the 90s. And very similar to Barry McCockiner.
Kind of cringy, but
back,
right.
Essentially, it's just the new Barry McCockiner footage, bro. He's putting up Michael Jordan, 1990s, and not even Michael Jordan, just everyone from the 80s and 90s, and exposing how this era is trash. So let's watch
show me.
just so y'all know.
Show me the
what is
money.
going on. Before we move on with the rest of the video,
what
I do just want to shout out the sponsors of this video.
Ah, fuck your ass,
aka
bro.
Awesome
No offense.
Deposit up, yo.
I'll shut on your own time.
In the description for that, and shout out to Prize Picks for sponsoring this video.
Done with the 80s. After Larry Bird do this big trash move, watch Jordan pick it up.
Okay.
Ain't got no left hand. Gonna go left. Watch this. Smoke the layup. That's garbage.
Like, that's why I mean, like, they're trolling, right? But once again, I'm going to try to take it serious just for the sake of argument. But he's trolling, right? There's no way. Like, he doesn't actually believe this. He's like, okay, this is funny. This will get views. It's semi-controversial, and someone will take this serious, so I can just troll. It's whatever. But here we go.
Here we go. This is the very next play down. Again, Jordan is a right-handed batter. He won't use his left for nothing. And look, even worse.
Right-handed.
Look, he just won't use your left, Mike. Right there. Why won't this man use his left hand? Watch Larry Bird try to get his game off. Watch this. Garbage. I don't want to.
So yeah, it's not just Mike. It's literally the whole era.
Watch Jordan.
So he's been calling Michael Jordan the right hand bandit. Let's watch the rest of this one right here.
He refuses to go left. Go left, Mike. Oh, of course he gonna go right. Man, I would have locked him up. And watch how they go down the court. Look at Larry. He ain't got no move. Do a spin move, Larry. He almost throwing it away. Larry garbage. Hey, watch this.
It's Mimi. Mimi.
Okay, he going right.
Mimi,
Everybody, he
Mimi,
going
Mimi,
right.
Mimi, Mimi,
He
Mimi.
going right. Look, it's garbage. I'm gonna show y'all some clear-cut evidence of how the lead hours rig. It's gonna go off of Mike. Watch this. Good D, Dennis Johnson. Boom. It go right off Jordan.
All right, so that's video number one. Let's watch another.
Okay, so MJ, well, first of all, he's clipping, he's kind of cherry picking clips once again for the sake of the troll. But obviously MJ can go left, so yeah, it's obvious. It's like I don't know. You would think that unless people think like the intelligence was so much lower in the '90s that people wouldn't just like force him one direction and be like, "Oh, see, look, we figured out Michael Jordan." Just force him in a certain direction. It's like you don't think they would have just came up with that? You don't think these guys there aren't peak athletes that existed in the fucking '90s or '80s? Of course they existed. But all right, here we go. Wrong button. My bad.
Another one. Let's see.
Holy.
This is his most recent video, so I don't even know what he's talking about in this one.
We done with
It's from
the
an hour ago,
90s.
y'all.
Somebody gonna explain this to me. Here go your goat pushing it. Why won't he use his left hand? He just jumped in the air and came down with it. That's garbage. You travel. Don't get mad at the ref. You travel. Hollering and screaming at the ref when you just jumped up in the air and refused to use your left hand. You gonna try to get mad at the ref. I can't stand when they do that. Look at this. What the ref got to do with that, Mike?
My thing is, why do you have to go with the left hand right there? Was there anything?
I think he was looking for a foul there.
Going line drive to the rim. Magic Johnson sets a pick for a charge.
So MJ basically
Why do you have to go
Jaylen
to
Brown
left,
with a good
Mike?
signature shoot.
Look at this. This is garbage. Use the left hand. That's trash.
I mean, if it was a charge,
good
him
call.
going up with his left wasn't gonna stop
Sit
that. But
down.
it's cool. It's cool.
We done with the 90s. Let them tell it. Magic Johnson. He the best point guard ever. He was garbage. Watch this. He ain't had no moves. Big trash. Look at this big trash move he do. That's trash.
Yada yada.
Hey,
It's
listen,
funny.
I
It's
understand the focus
funny
is Michael
cherry
Jordan,
pick
but,
things.
He's gunning for everyone. Larry Bird, hell, Isaiah
Stop it. He's
Thomas,
trolling.
Magic Johnson, every single perimeter player in the 80s and 90s is getting cooked. The only
You
one
are
he hasn't
trolling
really looked
adjacent.
at is big men, but any perimeter player is getting the smoke. Now, the first time I personally saw someone really, really get exposed for not having a left hand was John Stockton. And shout out to NBA Storyteller for being the leader of that movement. Ever since then, I haven't been able to unsee it, bro.
Maybe I check that out one day.
John Stockton has
I've
no
I've
left
not
hand.
looked into that.
John Stockton has no left hand. Ever since then, Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown after the last 2 seasons versus the Warriors, versus the Heat, multiple times versus the Heat, Jaylen Brown has no left hand, and now he's playing into it. You know what I'm saying? He's the amount of times I've seen Jaylen Brown actually finish.
I'm
with
sure he
his
has
left
a
hand
left
is
hand. We're
he's
just
like, oh my god, it was my left.
it's not
hand.
a dominant
Oh my
with
goodness.
his
And
left
I think
hand.
one of his dunk
Got it.
contest dunks had something to do with dunking with his left hand too. Jaylen Brown knows what's up. Jaylen Brown knows the memes. Magic Johnson as well is another player that's been criticized for not having a left hand. Not as much. And this also comes from the heels of Allen Iverson going on a podcast.
I'd love to know like what they mean by they don't have a left hand. Do they mean they can't do what particular dribble moves with their left hand? Is that what they're saying? Because they have to go left at some point. There's no way you can just get away with just going right over and over and over again. You have to have the threat of going left at the very least. And I'm pretty sure that's what Allen Iverson's going to talk about. Like, I have to have the threat of being able to go one direction or the other. Even if I don't drive all the way to the basket with my left hand, enough dribbles going left, you at least stop and hit a jump shot. You need to be deceptive, man. These are, like, I don't think people really, like, let's put it in perspective. There are millions of dollars on the line. If you're a guy who can stop Allen Iverson or stop Magic Johnson or stop Michael Jordan or stop Jaylen Brown, you are a millionaire. Congratulations. You're a multimillionaire if you can become a guy who can just do that. There's plenty of analytics today and all that shit, and people paid attention back then with scouting. Enough to where if you can stop someone, you will get paid for it. So there's a reason to be good at, like I had no left. Like, well, I guess there should be some guy, theoretically, that's quick enough with his feet to stay with you and keep you from going right. Hard force you to go left. And that guy should be a fucking multi-millionaire. But I didn't see anyone that was just outright an Allen Iverson stopper, a Michael Jordan stopper, a Magic Johnson stopper. Fuck, a Jaylen Brown stopper. But a little bit less about Jaylen Brown, but whatever. Here we go.
Cast. And saying this. Now, if you don't follow me on TikTok, follow me on TikTok. You see the numbers? We're going up. We're going up. We're done with 2023.
I put it in my right hand, and the only thing I could do.
Chick have a wedding ring in her nose, bro.
Cross with my left.
Got an engagement ring in her nose.
I would have to go to the other side. Of the
I'm
back,
just
use
playing.
My right. I ain't want to dribble with my left. Nothing. You know what I mean? I was.
Yet they would still fall for it.
Because you make it the way you do it. You making that person. You got to make it look exactly like you going that way.
Not so. Yes. Allen Iverson, the guy who is in arguments for having the greatest handle of all time. Steph Curry, AI, Kyrie Irving,
well,
Allen Iverson. I already said Allen Iverson.
Sure, with, I guess, like, the fandom of basketball, right? Because they see him, he does crossovers, makes guys fall and shit, or you just saw MJ getting fucking turned around and shit like that. But the best ball handlers are guys that are, like, that are consistently deceptive to where they have moves on top of moves on top of moves, which is why a guy like MJ will be overlooked as, like, a great ball handler. Or a guy like Kobe Bryant, who has counters to counters to counters. That's why those guys get overlooked as ball handlers, because their thing is to get to effective spots. And in fact, I put Kyrie in that category. The whole point of Kyrie isn't to make the guy fall and bear like, oh shit, he cracked his ankles, oh fuck. I think the point is to get to spots, which is why, like, if you watch a game, I've seen Kyrie plays, like, recently with the Mavericks, right? I've watched, like, a game or two here or there. And you watch him when he's on offense, you could tell he's not there to try to ISO cross them over, take their ankles, and do all that shit. He's trying to get the spots. So if he does a setup move, like a starting move, right, and the defender falls back, he'll pull up right there. Nothing special needed. I will just pull up, and you can't fucking block this because I already got you moving backwards. That's kind of what, like, MJ does. It's kind of what he does, man. He just does that over and over and over again. If you don't bite and you stay up on me, okay, now I hard plant, shift direction, shift speeds, and try to blow past you. If you stop that, if you're keen to that, I then plant again. Maybe I spin. Maybe I cut over. Like, this is what Kyrie's doing as well. They're doing the same thing. They're trying to get to effective spots, not just look, like a 2K fucking spamming the right stick, right?
Offense is very important, mainly because you're trying to outscore your opposing team. The one thing about the offensive player that goes unnoticed and certainly not talked about that much is the offensive player has an advantage over the defensive player, mainly because of what? The offensive player knows where he wants to go. The defense is basically trying to guess and limit his options so he can direct the offensive player where he wants him to go. Well, as an offensive player, I'm trying to give you as many options so that the defense doesn't limit your options. What you should always notice is what the defense and how the defense is playing you. And once you notice that, if you have the correct techniques and the fundamentals about an offensive player, you can attack any way that he's playing you as a defensive player.
But I think people mistake ball handling for being, a 2K dribble package, man. But, all right, here we go. Once again, not an expert. It just seems obvious to me. Right? Someone can correct me on all of this. Someone can correct me on everything I'm saying right here. I'm just saying. I'm not an expert. I'm just saying. Here we go.
Self-admittedly says that He didn't have a left hand. Or, not he didn't have a left hand, but he just refused to go left. And anything above 2 dribbles, he couldn't. I don't know if he couldn't do it, but it was a weakness in his game. So, I don't know what's in the air, but again, these 90s, 80s legends are getting exposed left and right. And now other videos have come out as well of people trying to analyze if Michael Jordan really did have a left hand or not. Here's another video right here.
Is it true that Michael Jordan didn't have a left hand?
No, but I tell you what.
Oh, this is Chilltown. This is Chilltown. I forgot Hold on. We gotta go to the original video first. Cause I see this. Chilltown was pissed. Hey, bro, Chilltown was pissed. Hold on. We gotta go to this one first.
Is it true that Michael Jordan didn't have a left hand? I didn't even know this was a question until recently, but I keep getting these TikToks on my For You page of a guy who breaks down old games from the 80s and 90s.
I just gotta have shaky hand, bro. Bothering me.
In the most recent game that he broke down, he called Michael Jordan the right-hand bandit. He said
The
he
right
could not
hand
go
bandit,
left.
chat.
And then yesterday, a different creator, he's on this account Esquire Sports, it's pretty cool. He made his own video.
Why are you
about
physically
the
jittering the fuck
quality of
around? Like,
basketball
what are you
in the
doing, kid?
90s. And I've been finding all this really interesting.
Speed him up.
From what I've seen on TikTok, these games actually do look pretty bad. It does look like MJ can't go left. The deeper I dug, the more this became apparent.
He's on
Isaiah
8,000
Thomas-
milligrams of fucking Adderall. Look at this guy.
Sent him left. But some people call Isaiah Thomas a hater. Well,
What happens when you speed him up?
said it too. George Gervin revealed that it took a while before Jordan became a consistent scorer with his left, and I think that's kind of wild. So I decided to do what very few people do when it comes to MJ discourse. I went back and watched one of his games. Not just that, I charted it too. I chose game 1 of the 91 finals. It's on YouTube, and it's a good MJ game. 36 points, 14 of 24 from the field. I wanted to see how he got those points. Specifically when he dribbled, so catch and shoot is not here. Alright, so the dots that I'm going to put on the screen, they indicate how a possession ended. Blue means it ended in a pass. Red is a miss. Green is a make. Orange is
Yada,
a
yada,
throw.
yada.
Arrows indicate which hand somebody is dribbling with.
You really
Yellow
went in,
arrows are the
chat.
right hand.
You really
Left
went
hand
in.
is
I
gonna
need
be
y'all to
pink. It kind
understand
of looks
that.
purple. I'm about to show the chart 1/2 at a time, so get ready to roll, please. Okay, so this is the right side. I didn't put jump shots here. This is any time Jordan dribbled twice or more. That's a lot of right-handed dribbling, but it's the right side of the court. We'll cut him some slack. Only 5 lefty possessions.
I don't see how this. I kind of get it, but it's more of like a preschooler sense of basketball context, if I had to guess, or athletic context. It's just like, make, miss, left, right. Like, is that the extent of the context? The dude apparently shot 58% from the field, according to what you're saying here. So maybe he didn't need to go left? I don't know. Or maybe he didn't need to constantly dribble with his left hand. It doesn't prove anything. Either way, it doesn't prove one way or another that he had no left hand or no ability to finish with his left hand or no ability to go to the left side of the court or whatever. That it just doesn't really prove anything. It's just, it's one of those, like, it makes you think, doesn't it? Type of shits. I'm like, yeah.
It's all going left. Passes and a miss. Left side will probably be better, right, guys?
All right.
Allegations might be true. That's a lot of yellow, dude. On the left side of the court, that's a lot. It's hard to make sense of what you're
wow.
looking at, so I wrote it out too. Keep in mind, this is just some random.
It's like, wow, yellow.
Maybe it's not super representative, but Jordan touched the ball a lot in this one. So with his right hand, he was 7 of 12 from the field. He made 13 passes.
Whoa.
He had 1 turnover. With
Yellow.
His right hand, he was 0 of 2. He passed the ball 6 times. He had 3 turnovers and a loose ball. I broke down sides of the court as well. On the left side of the court, where you should use your left hand, he was 66% right hand with 6 lefty dots total, and 3 of those dots were turnovers. None were shots.
Maybe because you should use your left hand, that you go to your right hand to shift the defense and throw them off. Maybe. Maybe. I'm just leaving that out there as a possibility. Just saying.
On the right side, he was 13 dots out of 18 with his right hand. He had 5 lefty dots. They were all passes except for 1 miss. It's hard to talk about this without sounding like I'm agenda spreading, but Jordan was just not good with his left in this game. Look, drive in with the right, switch to the left, lose the ball. He made 5 shots on the left side. They
Damn,
were
with the
all
footage,
off the right
too.
hand dribbling.
With
Right
the
here above
footage,
my
too.
head, he started dribbling left. He realized he couldn't control it. He switched back to his right and made a shot. Down here, he tried to go left and switched back. I noticed that a lot this
So
game.
again, he just analyzes one game and the tendencies per possession of what Michael Jordan did.
All right, I'll let Chill
video I
down.
reacted to, and that now let's go to Chilltown. Now let's go to Chilltown. What he had to say.
Is it true that Michael Jordan didn't have
Hey,
a left
Chilltown was mad.
No, but I tell you what, I challenge you to prove to me that he couldn't go left on a consistent basis.
Stanley
for a
Cup is overrated.
15-year career.
that he had no
What
weak
is
hands. He couldn't do
what
anything
is
with
going
the
on
ball,
over there on
according to
TikTok?
you, and according to all of your cronies.
What the
Prove
fuck?
it to me.
Cronies
Prove to me
is
that Michael Jordan,
crazy.
from the time he showed up in the NBA to the time he left in 2003, his left hand was weak. He couldn't do anything with his left hand. Prove it to me. I challenge you to do that.
You can't. All right. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you to this guy. His name's like D Balls or some shit. These balls, these nuts. Nah, he seems like an alright guy. He's just, leaning into the meme of it and the troll of it, I think, and having fun with it. Like, cool. But more importantly, it's to the topic. We are done with the 90s. If that's being taken seriously, is one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. Because of all the great talent that you would ignore for the sake of one era winning over the other. And also, if it's a counter to people saying that the modern NBA isn't that great, based on, the leniency of the rules with carrying, traveling, good God, the lack of defense, the softer foul calls, on and so forth, which I heard from Bill Simmons. I heard him talk recently where he's saying like he was watching games and it seems like they're allowing a little bit more physicality, which is a good thing. You need to be physical in order to play defense. Otherwise, everyone's a blow-by. Everyone's basically a blow-by. Like, honestly. And then also the no left hand thing. If that's not a troll, once again, it's one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. One of the most lethal offensive players ever. You're telling me some guy wouldn't try to make millions of dollars to be known as the Jordan Stopper? Like, come on. Of course, someone's like, of course they're strategizing. Or coaches get paid to try to stop these things. They probably have coaches on the coaching staff that when they play the Chicago Bulls, like, okay, we game plan for this particular guy. This is our defensive strategy just for him. We can't let him do this. We can't let him do that. Or maybe we let him do this and that and try to stop everyone else around him. Whatever. Right? So to say like, oh, he just can't go left, it's not good enough. That's not good enough. There's no way. These people weren't cavemen, right? They're only 30 years ago. These are just people from 30 years ago. These people are still alive today. People are coaching these players today. They're coaching this new generation of players. They're coaching them. And you're telling me like they couldn't figure out, let's just stop him from going right. It's hard force him right or hard force him left every single time. But, And then like also the athleticism thing, which I guess was what people will go to. Like they were plumbers, right? When they left the arena, they'd have to go take a second. They have to go to their second job at the convenience store because these guys aren't athletes. That's nonsense as well. It's super nonsense. I will say this. Overall, in the modern NBA, there is a wider blanket of people who can do skilled things offensively. I'm not even going there with defense. Fuck out of here with that shit. But offensively, there's a wider range and there are more players who are more skilled at offensive things. Like I'll watch like Ball is Life. You can see these fucking like 13-year-olds doing crazy crossovers and jump shots and behind the backs and all that shit. Right? I'm like, oh yeah, the fucking people are learning earlier on. Just because of the way society has changed. They're learning earlier, and they're doing it more often. So yeah, I think there is a wider range of people who have skill. But the top players of the 90s or the 80s, like the top players, can play. They can fit in any era of basketball because what they do is kind of it's undeniable.
One was he knew that he was stopping and starting. The defender did not. Anytime you're on offense and you have the ball, one of the advantages you have is that you know when you're stopping and starting, the defender doesn't. When he starts to drive, the defender thinks he's going all the way to the basket. Maybe the defense, that was behind, maybe the back layer defenders weren't communicating, so he didn't know he had help down there. The other thing that Michael Jordan did, besides kind of really loading, you see how he loads on that front foot, so he really squats down and gets his butt down, is he always kept his shoulders behind his knees. Right there, that allowed him to really stop his momentum. The defender continued to slide. Then he was able to get on balance. And right here, you can see 3 contests, but he used that little mini fadeaway to knock it down.
Like, sorry, they can play in any era. Guess what? Michael Jordan is quicker and more agile than Steph Curry. By a mile with Luka. With KD, with Kawhi. He's quicker than LeBron. He's fat. I think he jumps higher than LeBron. I think he's faster than LeBron. He's not as strong as LeBron. Right? LeBron's pound for poundness is what makes him so special, is that he's that size and can move like a fucking jaguar. But MJ is still quicker, faster, more agile, more fluid than most players in the league. Probably all players in the league, let's be honest. He's probably up there with anyone. Is anyone going to deny Vince Carter his athleticism? Tracy McGrady, Kobe Bryant, Shaq, Karl Malone's strength. You're going to deny these things? So the top players, the 1%ers of the 90s, like there's a good chance they would beat the fucking new generation of here's our all-star team and here's our 90s all-star team. Like here's the best of the best of the 90s and the best of the 2020s or 2010s, whatever, right? There's a good chance the 90s fucking win because those are peak athletes in any era. I mean, honestly, I'll say the skill sets are very similar too. Obviously, there's a guy in one era who's better than a guy in another era at particular skill things, right? Who's going to be a better shooter than Steph or Clay in his prime? Like, not many, right? But who's going to have a mid-range game like MJ or Kobe? Who's going to have a post game like Hakeem? Like, not many. Who's going to have an all-around, like, point guard style play like Jason Kidd? Right? Maybe Chris Paul? So, yeah, bigger blanket of skill today. But when it gets concentrated towards the top, these guys are on the same level. Some may say even better. And same goes with the 2000s, where you have a different style of Kobe, right? Maybe actually a bigger bag, right? More counters to counters. You have Shaq. You have Diesel Shaq, right? Fucking three-peat Shaq. You know, those guys are kind of 90s, right? They're kind of 90s, right? When they win 2000, 2001, 2002 or some shit like that, or 2003, like they're just because the clock turned, to midnight in 1999. It's like, oh, now it's 2000. The era has completely changed. Like, no, it's still. It's like there's carryover of the 90s. Your Tim Duncans, right? You had David Robinson in the fucking 90s. Like, go look at that guy move around. Go watch David Robinson run around and run the floor as a fucking like 7-footer or whatever. You're like, what the fuck is that? It looks like Giannis. Holy shit. That dude's a fucking freak athlete. Strong as fuck, quick and agile as fuck for a guy that size. It's crazy. And then you just gotta, what you gotta do is just like compare the rule changes and shit like that. Especially with the traveling.
Wright continues to defend Dwayne Wade. And Wade dribbled it off his stripped and stolen. Anthony with a nice defensive play. Fires up the three. Anthony traveled, got away with it. He did travel, and that took a bad shot. Yep, the crowd was on his case.
Easy for Paul George. How many steps does Paul George take here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7.
Shake loose his skill.
Luka tried to draw a foul. No foul called, but his
it's just a smooth move to the cup for 49 points. He tried the old rip-through move.
Didn't call it, and he did the right thing, just attack from there.
Sean Marion also on this Cleveland roster. Joe Harris now in the game, the rookie out of Virginia.
Against Capella. And Capella takes it away from Beal. That was a travel.
Oh, my. I didn't know if he was going to the rim of Mississippi.
Yeah, that's a travel. I mean, that's like 4 steps.
He skipped on the first.
And the official said 2.
Midway through the fourth. Curry. Oh, are we going to call travel? It's a travel on the dribble.
Well, it's James Harden.
That's the Harden. I mean,
that's James
that's
Harden.
every James Harden 3 right there.
Fancy dribble to LaMelo. Somehow not a travel. LaMelo.
They gather step to a gather step to a step back to another step back to a I get the fadeaway and no one's near me because they can't get to my body, right? And you know, this whole hand checking rule, the ability to shift the defender and stay in their fucking pocket the whole time. That's important, man. It is. So yeah. Hopefully I got enough clips in. If I didn't get enough clips in, I'm just gonna put a bunch of them right here, and then you judge for yourself. Are these with someone like MJ? You're telling me that guy had no left hand, and also being the number 1 player in the '90s. This to say the guy who wins 6 championships in the '90s. You're telling like, well, we're done with this era. Like, come on. That's a baseball fan being done with the 96 to 2000 Yankees. Right? It's moronic. It's stupid. But if it's a troll, it's a troll. Fair enough. But all right. You know what? I'm done here. Enjoy it.
Is to create space between the defense. You try as much as possible to square your shoulders up so you're shooting towards your target. A lot of the times you're not going to be able to square them completely up, but you're going to square them up enough to it you can make your jump shot and make your adjustments to shoot the basketball. So, but you also got to be able to go both ways.